It's your boy Heaven Hollywood back on the IE Network. And this is the Heaven Hollywood Report. And we're doing a special report. And this is pretty much just the review of the Nicki Minaj one-on-one conversation with Joe Budden. Joe Budden premiered this on his Patreon on the Joe Budden Network. He then, that was about 8 a.m. in the morning, then about 12 p.m. noon. It went live on YouTube. There was some clips leading up to it until, the interview went live. Of course, everyone that got the exclusive, they were already posting clips by the time 12 o'clock came around, so you got a chance to see some of the clips. And we're going to go over some of the points in the interview. First and foremost, I'm going to say that I'm going to give Joe Budden a 9 on this interview. There was a couple of things that I'll probably touch on that I would have asked, I would have dove into, at least give her an opportunity to answer it. And if she chose not to, she just chose not to, but at least it would go down as him asking. Some of the things that was touched on and that I got from this interview with Nick is she realizes exactly who she is. I don't think Nicki in 2018, when the hate train hit her, I don't think Nicki realized who she was at that moment. She was actually still the same person that she is now, or she had the same amount, to me, of impact. But I think she was so not used to this hate train. I think that hate train really, really caught her off guard. And she really didn't know how to react to it. That's why she was making the wrong moves. You know what I'm saying? When she was trying to, she wanted to make sure, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that wrong. So she was trying cautiously to make the right moves. And then she ended up making the wrong moves. Right? Because a lot of people that she may have been able to go to for advice or for confidence or whatever the case may be, or for a kind word, they were no longer there. They were on the hate train. So, her peers, they were no longer there. So that's one of the reasons why I believe she was making a lot of wrong moves in 2018. She wasn't really realizing that, listen, even in 2018, I'm Nicki Minaj. I am, arguably the best that ever did this. I also feel as though when she mentioned Drake had to get her out of writer's block that she was in, I feel as though at that point in time, Nicki Minaj had pretty much given up. I think she had given up. I think she said she's so stuck in her ways, at this time, as far as being an artist and not letting anyone help her and so forth and so on. I think that she was like, I'm pretty much good with what I've done in music, and I don't want to be bothered because of what's going on social media and how music is now being perceived, and you got to do TikTok, and you have to be, you have to influence on social media, and you got to go live. And I really don't think she likes doing that. I think she does do it because, you need to do it. But if there was, if they said, if there was a way that you didn't have to go live and didn't have to do TikTok and you would still sell your music and your music would still be popular, I'm pretty sure Nicki Minaj would choose not to use TikTok and social media the way that she has to use it, only because of the generation that we're in. We're in the digital generation. I feel as though after her having the baby, it really did her some good. She moves totally different now. All right. I said here, not doing it on her own. She moves differently, and she's now learned what she has to do. And that is, of course, be a little bit more silent, move a little bit more silent. I think she learned that and discussed that. So I'm moving different now, she said. I'm not going to be saying stuff. I'm not going to say when stuff comes out because this is going to happen, that's going to happen. She pretty much confirmed what I was saying about the doc. The documentary was pushed back. She's not going to come and say why it was pushed back. The documentary was put on hold. And when she comes back with that documentary, it will probably be on Amazon. It's probably not going to be HBO Max. Unless, like I mentioned in previous video, unless she sold her likeness to HBO Max, like a lot of times a network like that, they're going to want your intellectual property. So that way, once you give them the okay and give them intellectual property, they can pretty much put it out whenever they want. So I believe, especially if they have rights or intellectual property, that they put this on hold indefinitely or what have you. Hopefully, what I'm hoping for is that Nicki did not give the intellectual property and she still held on to it, and she's just going to redo it or what have you and put it out whenever she is ready. She admitted, finally, I don't think I've ever heard her admit it. She admitted to having buck shots and altering her body, and she really wishes that she, could redo that. She thinks about thinking back and during that time, and she wasn't really confident in the way she looks. She started thinking that, hey, maybe I gotta look like these other girls that Wayne and some of the other guys are looking at. Maybe I need to look like that. So she did say that she got her ass shots in Atlanta. I think that is showing a lot of transparency that she would come out and say that, because at this point in time, everyone pretty much knows Nicki had a fake ass or an enhanced ass. And for her to come out and say that now, that shows a lot of transparency to me, because at this point, she really doesn't have to. She's already a mega star, and no one can, at this point, really, let's be honest, no, do you care if Nicki Minaj's ass is fake? Because I know I don't. You know what I'm saying? I know I don't. I don't care if that's fake. So she showed a lot of transparency by talking about that. She spoke on her brand deals and how she has a lot of brand deals that she had to push back to the side, because at the time when she could have launched them and should have launched them, she didn't launch them. Meaning at the time when she was at her peak. So then she didn't really feel like she'd be getting her worth when she decided to launch them, because by that time the hate train was in effect, which makes a lot of sense. She pretty much saying she wished she can go back and sell. You know how they say sell when you're at your highest, sell at her highest point. She wished she would sell at that point rather than sell, when she's going through the hate train. So right, but at that point, the brand deals was like, maybe we'll wait. She wasn't as hot at that point. So I thought that was very interesting that she spoke on that. She answered the questions very intellectually, very professionally, very carefully. And she said pretty much all the right things. She avoided being messy. She really avoided any answers that would make people say, I wonder if she was talking about, of course, we're going to get to those points where people thought she may have been talking about girls like Cardi B or girls like Megan or what have you. Like we mentioned before, she said Drake got her out of the writer's block with Seeing Green. Let's see. She didn't want to put out Queen, the album Queen, back then, but she said she felt because of industry things, she was rushed into putting it out. Because she said it was silly because the VMAs were coming up, and then she said another reason was one of her label mates, she believed, was dropping, and she didn't want to drop at the same time as they dropped, and so they can, block each other. One thing that I did disagree with Nick on was the fact where she said, you know, oh, if you go to the deciding factor of who's better, you got to go to Grammys. You people don't do that with male rappers. They don't say, oh, who was better, Jay-Z or Biggie, and then we go and say who had more Grammys, right, or who had more number ones. Well, you have to remember something. To me, Grammys are like championship rings. So when and they do go to championship rings when they're deciding, okay, who is the best basketball player or best football player, whatever. And if it's so close that you really can't determine who, you have to have a tiebreaker. So people say, all right, how many rings did he win? And to me, that's what Grammys are to rappers and to artists. They're like championship rings. So we go to that to determine the tiebreaker. When it's close. All right. Um, as far as her saying, number ones really don't matter, and Grammys, well, it didn't back in the day. But as I continue to say before, I believe the fans made that matter. I believe when Cardi B, and I will continue to say it, I'll go to my grave saying it. I said that no, especially rap, no fans cared about number ones until Cardi B got under their skin when she started bragging about the number ones. And instead of letting that roll off of their chest, like, okay, well, Nicki's not in it for number one, so she can do her number one thing. Nicki's going to concentrate on being the best spitter, the best rapper. I think if the fans had did that and would allowed Nicki to do that, we wouldn't be talking about number ones like we are now. Now, when the songs come out, everybody's running to the charts. It's kind of like the 3-point shot in basketball, right? When Steph Curry came into the league, everybody was about getting the big man. And getting as close to the basket as possible. Then Steph Curry came in and said, I don't care about dunking. I don't care about, dunking the basketball or getting close. I'm going to shoot from way back here. I'm going to shoot as far as I can from the basket and try to make as many threes as possible. And then the whole league started doing that. Steph Curry was really the first one doing it, then the whole league started doing it. And I believe that's what happened with Cardi B. Cardi B came in and said, I don't care about raps. I don't care about lyrics. I don't care about being the queen. I don't care if they say that I'm the best rapper. I'm in this game just to make hits and to get on the charts. And everybody said, what? And then that's what everybody now is in for it for. When they were saying, what? That's crazy. But I'm going to get to that part. Let me just finish addressing more. Nicki did address pretty much that you can't pay for radio. She said it doesn't work like that. When people say, oh, yeah, just pay for radio, you said you just can't pay for radio. And she also did mention that Do We Have a Problem in Bussin' were both supported by radio. So people can start with, it wasn't even sent to radio. It didn't have no radio airplay. She said it was very much supported by radio. That's out of the mouth of Nicki Minaj, not out of the mouth of me. My thing is, I disagree with the Billboard thing. I wouldn't if Nicki would never have mentioned it. If she says, I don't care about, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. But you can't say that and then say, they're changing their rules from every time I drop, because you said you didn't care about it. So why would you mention that? That is my only disagreement. It does matter. Trust me. It matters to Nicki. It matters to all artists whether their record went number one, because that means more money. And that also means more negotiating power. Grammys and while people may think it means nothing, Grammys and number one records and diamond records mean more negotiating power. It goes on your resume, and it's a big deal. Trust me. And Nicki knows that too as well. Says that the Grammys are less validating now because it seems as though everyone's getting a Grammy. So she said that in so many other words. That could have been a dig at Megan Thee Stallion. If you want to point out parts where it could have been a slight, okay, I'll give you that. It may have been a slight, but she made it much too general in order for you to say, aha, right there, she means Megan Thee Stallion. She could have meant anybody that it applied to. And that's what I liked about Nicki in this interview. She stayed non-messy. She didn't attempt to get messy. She didn't say, oh, well, y'all know who I'm talking about, stuff like that. She stayed very professional and, not messy at all. And that's what I appreciated most about Nicki in this interview, even though I still would ask a couple of questions. The female starters kit, or as I call it, the Builder Nickies, what I've been mentioning to people from before. She said it's a starters kit, and it's pretty much, she pretty much took the blame, and she took responsible for helping start that female starters kit. Pretty much they gotta look like her. The wig, the fake ass, the big tits, the fake titties, the furs, the colorful, the designer clothes. She said pretty much every single rapper wore a pink wig. It's kind of like how they try to make all the black comedians wear a dress. It's like you have to wear a pink wig at some point. So let's see what else we got. What was very interesting is the part when she mentioned about Future. They were talking about being influential, and the part about Future saying, everybody thinks I do a whole bunch of drugs, but they don't know that I'm a lightweight. So pretty much telling people that Future talks about a lot of drugs, but doesn't really do a lot of drugs. He's a lightweight, and he was kind of laughing about it. How he's got people going out and thinking that he does a lot of drugs, but he's really a lightweight. And one of the best points and the great points that I love that she made, and this should go to all of the youngins that listen and say, oh, those old heads just sitting around bitter, and they're just sitting around mad because they then, and she pretty much said, yes, they are sitting back bitter. And Nicki Minaj pretty much co-signed that bitterness and said, pretty much, I understand why they are. Because all of the time that they paved the way, and I'm going to start getting emotional talking about this, because I think I know a lot of the older rappers, and I know a lot of them aren't good financially. And when Nicki said this, it really, really struck home. And she said, all of the jewels that they gave and all of the doors that they open for the new artists that enables the new artists now to make millions and millions of dollars. But the people who opened up those doors and paved those waves, they can't send their grandkids to college. They can't send their kids to college, their grandkids to college. Because they're not making, they weren't allowed to make the money they make. And a lot of them, mostly every old school artist has more skills than the rappers that are out now. And for them to know that they're more talented and better at the craft than some of these kids who don't even take it seriously, but are making millions of dollars, of course they're going to sit around and be bitter. Of course. And Nicki Minaj, that was an amazing point. And I feel on it. That's the reason why I've always said, and I guarantee you if I brought this up to Nicki, she would agree. I always said as though we should have a hip-hop union. A union to all of these youngsters that are making triple and quadruple the amount of money that greats like Method Man, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, like the people that I'm not going to say LL because LL's in the acting, but other great rappers that had better skills, Cool G Rap, they're pretty much living a regular life, and they shouldn't be. So that's what the hip hop union would be for. But that's another video for another time. Um, but that was an amazing point. She pretty much said the Grammys and these award shows or whatever are less validating because they're giving people, pretty much Grammys that don't deserve it. Um, she did say that Lil' Kim deserved to be on American Vogue, and now if you want to think, she's saying that me and Kim deserve to be on Vogue. If you don't know, Cardi B is the first and only female rapper I believe that's on American Vogue. Well, she was the first female rapper to be on. I don't know whether Megan Thee Stallion got on it or what. But if you want to say she took some digs at Cardi B, because Cardi B was the first female rapper to be on Vogue, okay, yeah, I'll give you that. But again, it wasn't something too blatant. She basically said that, Lil' Kim should have definitely been on Vogue. And she had to say that. And I'll tell you why. Because if you never have Lil' Kim, I've always said that if you never had Lil' Kim, you would have never got Nicki Minaj. Because Nicki Minaj is an extension of Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim came out and did what she did. She nationalized rap. Nicki Minaj took, the lead from Lil' Kim, took some of the things that she did, implemented some of her own things, and then she globalized hip-hop. So you would never gotten a Nicki Minaj if you didn't get Lil' Kim. That's the reason why she had to say, if she was going to be on the cover of Vogue, Lil' Kim needed to be on the cover as well. And I agree with both of those points. Also, she basically saying that she's a rapper. She still believes in bars and technique, and of course that, she really said she don't really care about charts. And she said, if that's what you care about, that's fine. But I shouldn't be made to feel as though I have to care about that. If you want to say that was a shot at Cardi B, because Cardi B is the queen of the charts, and the one that's always talking about the charts. If you want to say that's a shot at Cardi B, okay, I would pretty much agree with you. But it still wasn't messy, and it wasn't blatant. So it's kind of like whoever it fits. If it fits your shoe, if it fits your foot, then put it on and wear it. Overall, like I said, I give Joe a 9. I think Joe is a very good interviewer, and I'm proud of Joe. I get emotional for everybody. I don't understand why, because he, whatever, if his success does nothing for me, it doesn't put any money in my pocket. I don't even know him like that. But because I've been following him for so long and saw what he took this podcast game from and how people used to make fun of him because saying he was a failed rapper, and you're going to, and to be 100, even Nick did make fun of Joe and began to say, oh, your little podcast. Well, good luck with your little podcast. And now look, she's on that little podcast and she's got a little podcast coming out, So I'm just really proud of him to see how much he's overcome and where he took this podcast game to, especially every single rapper now. The ones that was laughing at Joe, they all have podcasts now. So all y'all that are making money off of your podcast, I think all your old Joe Budden a check. Because you're his sons. Like I said, 9 interview. I think Nicki's answers were great. I think she showed a lot of passion and a lot of growth in where she is now. The one question I would have asked, because she did give Lil' Kim props, seems as though they possibly could mend their ways. And she talked a lot about, being black in the industry and just being black in general. A lot of pro-black stuff, and she wants to become a mogul. Before the interview was over, not during the interview when she's dropping all these jewels and the interview is about her. As they were closing, if I was Joe, I would have said really quickly, let's address the elephant in the room. There are the three biggest female rappers right now. If you want to throw Doja Cat in there, you say fourth. But pretty much for over the past few years, are you, Megan Thee Stallion, and Cardi B? Where are you? I know you and Cardi had had some differences in the past, but at one point you two were talking at the Met Gala, and then that incident happened. Where, really quickly, you don't have to go into a long detail. Where are you guys at in your relationship? Is there any chance? Do you think there's any chance ever of you two reconciling and maybe working together or just being cordial? I would ask them that. If she chose not to answer, she didn't have to answer. I would have said, and again with Megan, how do you feel about her success? You worked with her before. Do you two have any contact, any relationship? Do you think that, you'd work together in the future? If she choose not to answer it, she'll answer, but at least Joe threw it out there. And remember, you do it at the end of your interview, kind of like going out the door. So I would have loved him to ask that. As far as answering the question of, someone asked me, who do you think she likes better, Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B? And I'm going to give two answers on that. I think as a person, Nicki Minaj would like Cardi B better as a person because, number one, Cardi B from New York, Nicki's from New York. Cardi B is really giving her real personality. And I think a lot of people they don't really know who Megan is. Cardi B, everybody knows. This has been the way Cardi B acts right now is the way she's been acting before she was on Love and Hip Hop, the way she acted before she got a record deal, when she was on YouTube and Instagram and Vine, she was going off on people the same exact way where she goes off on them now. She had the accents, she had the words that she couldn't pronounce. She was acting the same way. She's always acted the same way. So I believe if they didn't have that little fallout, I believe Nicki, because Cardi's from New York and because Cardi's personality is just, here it is, like it or not, I believe she would like Cardi B more as a person. Because Megan, you can't really tell. You really can't tell when Megan's being fake. You can't tell when she's being phony. So she's acts one way when she's drunk and one way when she's not. So she has different personalities. So I think she would like Cardi B more of a person. As far as a rapper, I think she respects Megan Thee Stallion more than she respects Cardi B. I really don't think, Nicki will probably never say this, I really don't think Nicki has any respect for Cardi B as a rapper. But I do think she has respect for Megan Thee Stallion as a rapper. Nicki's a fan of rap. So I'm sure she's listening and Megan was like, okay, she got some bars. Megan does freestyles. Cardi B's never have a freestyle. She doesn't have not one freestyle on the internet or anywhere. So, and Nicki kept making a point to talk about the bars. So I don't think she has any respect for Cardi B. I don't think she has respect for what Cardi B's accomplished, because I don't think that she feels as though Cardi's in it for the right reasons. She's not in it because she loves rap. She's just in it to make a buck and to make a splash. That's what I got. That's what, if someone was to ask me that question. Now, Nicki Minaj has never said that, and no one's ever told me that. But if I'm just judging by listening to her talk, I would think if it came down to a person, I think she would get along with Cardi better than Megan, because she would feel as though she can relate to her. Megan's from the South. She didn't come up in New York. They didn't really come up the same way. They got the same upbringing. So it's a little different. But as far as, Cardi came up through Love and Hip Hop, and then, it's kind of like, she was manufactured in through the hate train. Not that she didn't put in work. Like Cardi had mixtapes and everything, right? But the Cardi B that you see now is not really the Cardi B that you saw in the mixtapes. Like even when Nick dropped Pink Friday, right? Okay, she had mixtapes up, but you can hear a lot of the Beam Me Up Scotty Nicki, with Itty Bitty Piggy, whatever, in some of her songs on Pink Friday. You can still hear that Nicki Minaj. The mixtape Cardi B, other than the voice and accent, doesn't really sound like the same. She's not really, of course, she's in the business now, and you can't go out there and do, effed up weave. You know what I mean? So even though Cardi did have mixtape before and she was rapping before, I think Nicki and a lot of people look at Cardi more as an entertainer than they do as a straight rapper. Now, with this second, if Cardi comes out this second album and all of a sudden she's going to, I can't even say going to radio shows and doing freestyle because Nicki don't do that either. So if you look down all of you see her rapping like on the Come Up DVDs, what have you. But there's no Nicki going to a radio show and rapping. So for people saying Cardi B needs to do a freestyle, well, that's not true. Nicki didn't do a freestyle. There's no freestyle to her. But I believe she respects Megan Thee Stallion more as an artist than Cardi B. But Cardi B she's these accolades that she's getting. She's doing the numbers, regardless of whether she's in this era or not. She's doing the numbers. But so you gotta respect her as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just going by what I think. I don't think Nicki Minaj has respect for her. But all in all, she didn't get messy in the interview. I think she carried herself very well. And it was a great interview. I'd say it was about a 9. I would have given it a 10 if he would ask those 2 questions. But other than that, yeah, man, I hope nobody, I've always seen it trying to do it, stop trying to make this like Nicki was up there throwing shade. She was not. And I hope you people don't fall for those captions that you see. People are just trying to get clicks and views off it. That's my take on it. Leave your comments below. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood for the IE Network. I'm totally here for everything Nicki said. I'm glad that she is branching off and doing things I begged her to do 4 years ago. And I'm looking forward to it. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood for the IE Network.